Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio. It's live. You know what to do by now. Get involved in the comments and the chat. Let's hear your take on all the latest Manchester United news. We'll be talking about some of the reaction from last night's win in the FA Cup over West Ham United. We'll also be looking ahead to our next game as well. And we'll be going through some of the quotes and the commentary and what's going on at United at the minute. It seems like everything's a bit positive, isn't it? Even the old Roy Keane himself has put a smile on his face. Well, sort of, has been giving us a lot of praise. So we'll get into all that. So make sure you are getting involved too. Good to see some people already in the chat. Freya, Stuart, King Dino says Glazers out. Solo, good to see Solo. I'll be on the United agenda later. Glenn F, Flashburn 52. Santa Notch is here. Ashan Alam as well says, all right, Jay. And Kuth Ilar says, I love my nan. He says, fair enough. Dragon 7 says, morning Jay, dawned on me yesterday, bald people are smarter about football with a few Scottish exceptions. Scots can handle hair, it seems. Well, I'll tell you what, the greatest bald geezer in football, Mr. Erik Ten Hag, certainly knows his stuff, doesn't he? And he is the greatest ball geezer. Don't talk about that fraud down the road at the Etihad. No one cares about him anymore. Right, should we get into last night's game? First of all, let's talk about why Shaw and Sancho were available. I think the Evening News have got a little blurb on this. I think Erik Ten Hag spoke about it there. He said one is ill, Sancho, the other, Shaw, is a small injury. I hope it's not too bad. We'll have to see how it develops to Sunday, but he's not available tonight. So he addressed that yesterday about why them two didn't feature. We need them both, really, for Liverpool, especially Shaw. I do like Tyrone Malacia, but I think Shaw is, he's, for me, probably the best left-back in the league right now. So, hopefully, he'll be back for the game at Anfield. We could do with him back. But, yeah, there's nothing too serious there, it would see. Sancho's got a bit of illness, and Shaw, a small injury. It may even been slightly precautionary. It might be one of them where it was like, you know what, maybe I could risk him, but it's not worth it for this game. And we obviously got through it without him. Should we talk about some more quotes as well? We've got another 10-hour quote here. I love this because this sort of shows where we're at a minute. One of my sort of bugbears over the last sort of 5 or 6 years was at times it felt like United didn't hate losing enough. You'd see it after games where we'd lose, and there'd be this sort of like, nah, such is life attitude from some of the players. I'm not saying players like losing, I'm not saying that, but sometimes it didn't seem like losing got to them enough. Sometimes you need that desire, you need that attitude of like, I hate losing, I don't want to lose games, not I can just shrug it off. And Erik Ten Hag here says they hate losing and believe they can always win. And it's just the little things like that. The mentality does seem to have shifted under Erik Ten Hag massively since the Ralph Rangnick era, which was just pretty much disastrous. And even under Ole, now I liked Ole, and let's not forget, let's not completely rewrite history. We had some good times under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We finished 3rd and 2nd, which isn't too shabby in the Premier League. We also got to some semi-finals and a final as well, of course. But you did feel like there was a bit of almost like a ceiling there. We just couldn't get through. We couldn't get through in terms of a trophy. But with Erik Ten Hag, he's instilled something different. And we're already picking up silverware. We've obviously won the League Cup. We're looking good in the FA Cup now. We're through to the quarterfinals now we're in. And we've got Fulham at home in the last day. I mean, that's last day. That's a winnable game, innit? Let's have it right. So you one winnable game away from Wembley. So because the semi-final, I believe, is still at Wembley. So something has shifted, and I think it all stems from that man, from Erik Ten Hag, his attitude, his mentality. He didn't go to Ajax and not win anything. He won the league every season he was there, and he's brought that attitude towards Manchester United. He's come here to win things. We've already won something. You've got players in that squad as well who are winners. You've got Raphael Varane. I talked about this the other day in my news, and I'll keep talking about it. Varane, who's won the lot, World Cups, Champions Leagues. Casemiro won 5 Champions Leagues. You've got Martinez, who's just won a World Cup as well. And you've also got other players who have that winning mentality. Bruno's got a winning mentality. He's not got lots of trophies, but you can see his desire is there. You can see how his attitude is on the pitch. He's not the type of guy that's just happy to make up the numbers. He has that desire to win, and you can see it. So, yeah, the attitude has shifted, and it's great to see. Should we talk about Roy Keane? Because I always think if you're keeping Roy Keane happy, when I say happy, if he's not ranting at you, then something's going right. Now, I love this. Roy Keane on ITV last night. I watched this when I got home from the game, and it was really interesting because I always think Roy Keane's a pretty decent barometer of where United are at. Sometimes he can go a little bit OTT and he can be a little bit too harsh, and you think, really? But other times he can be quite objective. I do think he's objective, and he still has that. We'll talk about mentalities. I still think in him, he has the attitude of United should be where they were when he was playing for us. He looks at us like that, and you can see it the way he criticises players, the way he comments on players and performances. He's not easily pleased, Roy Keane, and doesn't get carried away when United have a little bit of a good spell or they win a few games or they get out of jail in any games. He's not like, oh, that's it now, we're back to where we should be. But it does feel like he's beginning to shift that way. Now, he said here about the West Ham game last night, you can see that. He's talking about West Ham. He says, I've seen it all before. They come, get a bit giddy, have opportunities, not just West Ham, but the Spurs of this world. Love the fact he's having a dig at Spurs who weren't even playing against us last night. They get possession, 1 or 2 chances, they get plaudits, they end up getting beaten. Defensively, West Ham was shocking, absolutely useless, and gave away 3 goals. I have seen it over the years, but it's laughable. Now, he said that. He said, I've seen it here for the last 20, 30 years, I think he said. And he was talking about the fact that teams are just happy to have a few chances and lose, and they still get praised. And that's how it used to be. You remember under Sir Alex Ferguson, teams would come to Old Trafford and they'd lose 2-1 or whatever and think that's a good result. They go, oh, well, we gave United a game at Old Trafford. You can't be too disappointed with that. And it feels like that's sort of shifted in now because United keep winning. Our record post-Sociedad, I think we're unbeaten at Old Trafford post-Sociedad. I think we are. And the record is I think it's just like constant wins and the odd draw. Erik Ten Hag spoke about making it a fortress, and we've certainly done that. But it does seem to have had this shift now, where you're looking at it and you're going, United at Old Trafford, not unbeatable. I don't think anyone's unbeatable. It can happen. I don't want to say that because it happened. But as close to unbeatable as anyone is at home, our home record now is fantastic. And we've beaten big teams. We've beaten Arsenal. We've beaten Liverpool. I say big teams and Arsenal. We've beaten Liverpool. We've beaten City. We've beaten Barcelona. These are teams that regularly go away from home and get results. These are teams that have had results at Old Trafford as well, let's not forget. City's record at Old Trafford is decent. It's far too decent for my liking. Even Arsenal have won Old Trafford over recent years. But not anymore, not under Erik Ten Hag. And I think that is important because, well, obviously it's important, but it shows here. Now, when you've got Roy Keane sort of praising United, criticising their opponents and talking about the old days and how it's been like that for 20, 30 years, it just goes to show because if you remember, I remember a really sort of telling match for me was, I think it was the 1-0. Arsenal beat us 1-0 behind closed doors, I think it was, a couple of years ago. And Roy Keane was on comms and he was saying like, he wasn't very praiseworthy of either team because people were saying, oh, this shows what Arteta's turned a corner, he knows what he's doing and now, he's got him playing. And I think Roy Keane made the point, you've just got 2 poor teams there today and one was slightly less poor than the other. And he was right. Because, I know Arsenal are flying now, but they weren't at the time in that season, they weren't. And he pointed out the fact that neither team was great and he was quite critical. And I think now you're seeing him giving United some credit, giving this manager credit, because you can see what's going on. And it does hark back to the Sir Alex Ferguson days. Now that might sound a little bit melodramatic, like we're getting carried away, because this team's only, so far, won a League Cup where Sir Alex Ferguson's team obviously, dominated football for a good 20 years. But you can see the path we're on. You can see the football we're playing. You can see the belief is there. And you can see how, under this manager, there is a sort of never give up attitude. And that's right up Roy Keane's street. So I can understand why he's giving props and praising the Manchester United team and why he's criticising opponents as well. Because you shouldn't just be happy to have a few chances and lose a football match. And it speaks volumes that sort of commentators or ex-players from other teams, so obviously Ian Wright and Joe Cole both played for West Ham, are sort of saying, West Ham did well. They did well here because they had a couple of chances and they could have won the game, but they didn't. And when you have that mentality, it used to wind me up when teams used to have that attitude of playing City, and it's like, oh, we did all right because we might have lost, but we gave them a game. And you think, why are you thinking like that? You shouldn't be thinking like that. And that's how teams are thinking against United, and that just shows where we are. King Dino says, big up Jay, smash the like, hit the like, please. Let's get to 200 likes. Come on, we can do that. 700 of you watching. Let's get to 200 likes. The Ahmeds say in the super chat, thanks Jay for the chat walking up to Old Trafford last night. Oh yeah, good to see you, bro. Bumped into him coming off the tram. Santa Notch says, because I didn't see the full West Ham commentary last night, I just saw some of it. It was clipped up. He says, I thought ITV criticised West Ham's keeper too much compared to Garnacho's composure and shot. So I didn't see that. Apparently they criticised the goalkeeper. But, yep, it was obviously a very good finish from Garnacho. I'm just going to talk about Garnacho in a minute as well. Jay, did you see the Erik Ten Hag, Steve McLaren video? I'm not sure what that was. I don't know if I have. I'll have a look at it. BMG DBFC says, was strange the phone he did for Ronaldo though. Yeah, I didn't agree with Roy Keane on that front, but I think maybe he has that attitude of Ronaldo's a bit of a winner. I don't know, maybe there was something there because they sort of, not mates, but had a good relationship. I'm not sure, but by and large, I think Roy Keane has been pretty accurate in his assessment of not just Manchester United as well, other teams. Remember, he rattled Jurgen Klopp when he wasn't the sort of just constantly praising Liverpool. We criticised them when they didn't play well. And Jurgen Klopp saw his backside because Roy Keane said in one of the games he'd been a bit sloppy. Like that's the worst criticism in the world. Edward Bamber says, next victim, Liverpool. Big game against Liverpool. Oh, yeah, I love this. LZ says, Leacher almost butchered Wout and Fred at the end there. Did you see that celebration where Lisandro Martinez, he slid in and he nearly wiped them all out? It was hilarious, that, yeah. I mean, listen, it wasn't a perfect performance by Manchester United by any stretch of imagination. We made a lot of changes and it could have backfired. But it didn't, and the reason it didn't backfire is you always felt pretty confident, I did anyway, that when we brought on the likes of Casemiro, Martinez and Marcus Rashford, it would be a different game, and it was. It is a little bit, I'm not going to lie to you, a little bit worrying that some of the fringe players didn't step up. I feel like in those games, at home to West Ham, when you're given an opportunity where you aren't a first-team player anymore, really, you have to take it. You have to give the manager, not something to think about, but a reminder that if you need me, I can step up. If you need to rest Casemiro, I'm your guy. Now, Scott McTominay didn't really do that last night because he ended up getting subbed after 45 minutes. I don't think, personally, you may disagree, and by all means get involved in the chat and the comments, I don't think Harry Maguire or Victor Lindelof did particularly well. I thought Harry Maguire improved a little bit as the game got on, but he looked a bit ropey. He did. And it's like, well, you could say, well, Mikel Antonio got past Lisandro Martinez at one point. So it wasn't just Maguire who was found a little bit wanting at times. But Lisandro Martinez hasn't really got anything to prove. He's proven himself in a Manchester United shirt. He's our first choice centre-back. There's no discussion there. Harry Maguire could have given the manager like a little bit of a reminder there where you go, look, if you need to rest Varane, if you've got a big game coming up and you're like, if you've got the option of playing Luke Shaw at centre-back or me, I can be your guy. And I don't know if you did that. Let me know what you think. Santa Notch says, only 2 days between Betis and Fulham. If it was Liverpool, it would be the main talking point in the media right now. It's a good point, that, really. Jack Curley says, Keane would be a top manager if he was with a big club. M says, McLaren basically said to Ten Hag, this is you've created a winning mentality. That speaks levels. Joy Boy says, Harry Maguire is to central defence what Loris Karius is to goalkeeping. Every time Maguire is around the ball in play, I wins. I don't want to be too harsh on Maguire because I think he's an easy sort of target, but you have to be honest about it. There was something interesting actually that Maguire said last night. See if I can find it. He did a post-match sort of interview. Let me just find this because someone just pointed this out to me a minute ago, where he said, we were poor in the first half, we didn't get started. I don't know why. Maybe the celebration's on Sunday, but we can't have that excuse. We've got to start better than that. So yeah, he's bringing up the sort of celebrations on Sunday as maybe that's a reason United were a little bit slow to get going last night. What do you make of that? Because, I don't know, it seemed like a slight odd thing to say. I don't know if I'm being looking into it too much. I don't think, why bring that up? I don't know. Maybe, again, I don't want to sort of demonise the guy because it's so easy in it to just go, oh, everyone hates on Maguire, I'll just join in. But yeah, it just seemed a bit odd. Maybe, there you go. BMGDBFC said Ten Hag said something similar. I think it's just with Maguire. I think there's a bit more of a spotlight on it when he says anything that can be construed as critical. But maybe he's just being honest about himself. Ash Kai says, to be fair, Maguire played decent in the second half, but let's be real, he's just not United quality. With him in the back, the chances weren't being created, and the midfield had to fall back quite often. Yeah, I mean, you can see the difference, can't you, when we've got the likes of Varane and Martinez. And I think Varane and Martinez are the best centre-back pairing in the world, I do. IR says, if that quote came out of Bruno's mouth and not Maguire's, no one would think twice. It's true, but that's the thing, though. It didn't. It came out of Maguire's. And Maguire's under more criticism at the minute. View from the stand says, has Anthony completed 90 minutes since he came here? Off again at the hour mark. Don't forget to hit that like button. Let's talk about Alejandro Garnacho. I always feel like Garnacho doesn't get the credit he deserves. There's a quote here before. I think it's from before the match. We've got a quote from Erik Ten Hag. If we can get that up. There's a quote here. Erik Ten Hag quote from before the game about Alejandro Garnacho. There we go. He says, I see today another step. I said to him before the game, it's time you have an impact when you come on, but now you have to have an impact as a starter. And I think he's capable of it. So that is the next step he has to make. It is a great skill when you're fearless, when you're brave. I don't think that is a skill that is so specific. There are not so many players in world football who can take players on, who can just out-dribble them, and that skill he has. But he has more skills than only that. For example, finishing. But also I see he has a big engine. He is fast, he has speed. He can keep running for 90 minutes, for 120 minutes. It doesn't matter how long he can do it. Yeah, there's always been this sort of slight question mark about Garnacho. Is he an impact sub? Is that his role? And I think that answered that a lot last night, because obviously he started and played well, got man of the match and got the winner. I know eventually we got a third goal, but you know, it was more or less the winner, wasn't it? Fred's goal was sort of last kick of the game. Fred also backs Garnacho to get even better. You can see a quote here. It says, I'm proud to be a part of this squad because everyone is ready to work, to change the game, and it was a big win today. We played very well after we conceded. We came back and won this game. It's important. We need to keep going. Garnacho had a very good game today. A good score, and he had nice play. He's a young player. He will be one of the best in the world for sure. Today he scored and played well, and he needs to keep going. Like, I don't think Garnacho gets the credit he deserves at times. I think there's a lot of United fans who do give him the credit because we can see what he's doing for Manchester United. We can see that here's a kid who's, you know, he's 18 years old. He's come into this team. He's come into a United team that is winning things and he's successful and he's doing well. And it's harder to get in a team that's doing well. It's easy to get in a team that's struggling because the manager might go, well, these players aren't doing it for me. I'll try some younger players. We saw Anthony Elanga last season playing probably more games than he should have done because the team was struggling and Ralph Rangnick had to look for someone he could rely on. And Anthony Elanga, for all his faults, was obviously putting a shift in and doing the job that Ralph Rangnick wanted him to do. But this season, we're winning things. We're challenging at the top of the league. You know, we're doing well in Europe. We're winning football matches and scoring lots of goals. And yet Garnacho is still a first-team player. He's in and around the first team, whether he starts or as a sub. And he's 18. And at times he's keeping much more experienced players out of the side. And he's become a focal point of the side when he's in it as well. He's a player you look to make things happen. And he did that last night. And it almost gets ignored or dismissed. Oh, yeah, he's done all right. Not by United fans, I think some of the media. If you had an 18-year-old playing for Liverpool every week, winning football matches, scoring a last-minute winner against Fulham, scoring a goal that more or less won us the game against West Ham, you never hear the end of it. If he came on against Manchester City the way that Alejandro Garnacho did and completely turned the game around, that'd been a talking point for years. Yet against City, it was all talk about this offside goal for Bruno and all this other nonsense. No one was noticing this 18-year-old kid who came on and absolutely tore City apart. He keeps doing it, and it annoys me sometimes that he doesn't get the credit he deserves. People are too quick to criticise or to dismiss what he's done and not notice that you've got basically a child coming on for Manchester United or starting for Manchester United and being man of the match and winning football matches. It's ridiculous. And I think that we need to sort of, you know, acknowledge that a bit more. And to be fair, I think United fans do, and I think some of the other media should do as well, because it ain't normal to have a kid this good at this age doing what he's doing for a team like Manchester United, who are flying at the minute, and he's a big part of that. So well done to Alejandro Garnacho. Great to see him get his goal. Great to see him get man of the match or player of the match. And long may it continue. I think it will. I'm cautious because I can get carried away sometimes. I have gone there early with the likes of, you know, Kiko Makeda and Terry Cook and one or two others. But you can see what this guy's about. He's in a very, very successful Manchester United team right now, and he's very successful. And that speaks volumes to him, his attitude and the ability he's got. And in a manager like Erik Ten Hag, you feel confident, don't you? You've got a manager who's going to get the best out of it. Let me just get into some of the comments there. Anyway, that's my two penneth on Alejandro Garnacho. Over 1,000 people watching. We've still not hit 200 likes. Come on, people. Hit that like button. If you're watching, just hit the like button. And don't forget as well, if you've not done already, subscribe to the channel. Santa Not says, hey, that Terry Cook cross, his one moment, ha ha ha. Listen, Terry Cook had a very good, he had a good time for the academy when we won the FA Youth Cup, I think in 95, was it? I remember got Old Trafford to watch it, and then he had a good debut as well, I think, for Manchester United. Didn't quite work out for him, did he? End up going to City as well in the end. That's how, you know, how his career at the doldrums. Anyway, listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. Make sure, if you're not doing, we've hit 200 likes. Well done, people. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, go and check out some of the post-match reaction from last night. You've got the likes of Andy Tate, you've got Joe Smith, you've got Adam McCull, you've got all that good stuff. So go and watch their post-match reaction. We've got Fulham in the next round. Fancy us for that one. We've also got a small matter of a trip down the M62 this weekend to play that lot. The Scousers. We'll be here for that. We'll have the preview, we'll have the watch-along, we'll have the post-match reviews and all that stuff as well. So make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. I've been Jay Motty. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.